All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Corona Geek here on Google Plus, where we talk about everything that has to do with mobile development using the Corona SDK. We've got a special guest today, Alex Souza. Say hello, Alex.
Hey, hello everyone.
Alex is the founder and creator of Kwik. You can find that at quicksure.com, and we're going to be talking with him about that tool here in a little bit. And he's just really just going to hang out with us for the next hour or so as we talk about things that have to do with the Corona community. Also joined in the studio here is Dr. Brian Burton.
Hello.
Brian's a book author. You know, he's a regular on the show, and we're always pleased to have him with us. A lot of contribution to the Corona community, and so thanks for being here with us, Brian. And of course, Christopher Ward.
How you doing?
Professional clown, rodeo circus, you know, whatever.
It's all good.
Yeah,
right?
it's all good. Yeah, and of course, I'm Charles McKeever, and so let's go ahead and get things started here. What do we have to talk about today, Toff?
Okay. Well, we have a winner for the T-shirt competition, so we're going to announce that. We'll do a quick recap of the big Corona Meetup, which was unbelievable success. I actually have my own notes from that one, that stuff I didn't know and I now know, so it was really nice. Then we're going to show you how you can nominate Corona on TechCrunch. Back in the saddle for build notes, so we're going to show you that. We've got some blog highlights, like for instance, more people at Corona means more people at Corona. We've got, obviously, a really cool developer spotlight here for Kwik, so we're going to walk through that. Community question about touch versus tap returning true, and if you don't know what that means, we can walk you through that in about 2 seconds flat. We've got an app review for a new calendar. We've got what not to do in the industry if you're making changes to your application. And then we're going to, last but not least, talk a little bit about the new physics event content. So that's actually a really neat feature. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. We've got a lot going on today, and it's going to be a big packed show. And I want to have lots of time to talk with Alex about his product. So the very first thing that you need to know is that Brad Marcus is our winner for this week's T-shirt giveaway. And so we're going to be sending out a Corona Labs T-shirt to him. Yay!
Woo! Congratulations.
And if you're interested in trying to win a Corona Labs T-shirt of your very own, you can go to coronageek.com/giveaway, and there's a form there. Fill it out. Basically, provide us the details that we would need to be able to send you your T-shirt if you were to win. And if you would, go ahead and follow us on your social media platform of choice, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or Google Plus or YouTube or whatever it is, and to let us know that as well in the form, and that way we can know that we're connected to you. And then next week we will pick a T-shirt giveaway, and hopefully you'll be the one. So let's go ahead and move to the big Corona Meetup recap. So for those who don't know, last weekend, this last Saturday, we had a 6-hour Corona SDK extravaganza. We started in Boston, moved to Texas, and ended up in Hawaii, which is not a bad way to spend your day.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we talked all about the introduction to Corona. We looked at graphic design for mobile applications. We talked about, Brian did a demo on creating games using the Corona SDK, which was great. That was a great walkthrough. And then also we wound up ending things up with in Hawaii with Richard Darling, who did how to marketing your app, improving the user experience, and that sort of thing, connecting it to Twitter and social media. So that was a really good session, I thought. What did you guys think about it?
It was great.
I mean, I expected a whole lot more drama. Things kicking off, you know, dropping connections, all that stuff like that, and we didn't have any problems whatsoever. In fact, YouTube right now has the recordings of both parts of both, because it was a 6-hour thing. It's in 2 parts, and they have the full recording right now, so you can go check that out. We'll put a link to that in the show notes, but it was great. to the point that I don't even think that there's really any video editing required. We talked with Walter at some point, which I might actually go through and pull out. But for the most part, great audio quality, good video quality. The whole thing is out there. It was available immediately after the event was over. So, kudos to YouTube and the gang. Also, we'll go ahead and put links to all the code repositories and everything else that was shared out during that event as well, so you can go through and look at the demos. So, nominating Corona Labs for an award. Have you guys gone and voted for this yet? Have you gone and?
Yep.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically the Crunchies Award. Basically, TechCrunch every year categorizes companies, puts them into, gives them little awards, and right now we're trying to nominate Corona Labs for the Fastest Rising Startup Award, and that's something that you can vote on basically through December 6th. You can vote, I guess, every day. Is that what you guys have been doing?
Oh, I didn't even thought about that.
No, yeah. I didn't realize you could do it multiple times.
Me neither.
Yeah, it says you can vote.
Vote early, vote often.
Yeah, vote early, vote often. So I assume that means more than once. But yeah, so up through December 6th, you can continue to do that. So that'd be a great thing to see them with that award. All right, so let's move to latest build release notes. Basically, Corona has released the latest public release. It's out there for everybody to take part in. You can download it right now. And
it's a fairly minor release, too. It's just correcting some problems with the templates that weren't connecting to the ad network or the analytics. So it's just a template fix more than a change to the Corona SDK. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I was actually talking about the big release, the big public release. But yeah,
I was referring to the daily build. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that's normally the format that we go through, and the daily build's got some bug fixes and stuff like that. Nothing major, but just to highlight the fact that there's still that big public release is out there, and so there's not a whole lot for us to talk about other than the fact that it's out there, and we're going to link to a place where you can go and look at the summary for that build. And basically, it lists everything that's been done in the public release. And I'm trying to pull it up right now, which is the reason I'm kind of stuttering through. But it includes things like the new skins for iPhone 5, Kindle Fire HD, support for iPhone 5, iPad Mini, Nook, Kindle Fire. I mean, there's a whole pages and pages and pages, really, of things that were released in this public release. So if you haven't tried Corona Labs or the Corona SDK in a while, maybe you've tried it before, now would be a good time to go back and try it again, because there's a lot of new stuff that's been added and a lot of
new widgets, all kinds of great tools.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic, and because it's a public release, it's now available to everybody out there. So now would be a great time to try it out. Okay, so when we during our talk with Walter during the big Corona meetup, he talked about new family members, and I'm assuming that doesn't mean that they've had any children. Walter said he liked to refer to new team members as family members, or adding to the Corona family, and so they've added a number of engineers to the mix, and really are beginning to expand the team there in California. So that's exciting news. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and link to that. There's a blog post where Walter put up on the 26th where he talks all about all the people that they hired, and from our conversation with him over the weekend, that was quite a few people, some key people, both in terms of engineer and also developer support or developer relations and things like that. So that's exciting.
Oh, I agree, because you've got, like, for instance, you'll see Rob Miracle all over the forums.
Yeah.
In his lightsaber. So and if you know who Rob is, you'll absolutely know that reference, because he's all over the forums with a really cool avatar.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm talking with Rob right now, trying to get him on to the show. We're just having some scheduling issues, and so hopefully we'll get that worked out. We'll get him on here to talk with us on one of the Hangouts. All right. Well, speaking of talking with people on the Hangout, I don't want to do all the talking today. Let's hear what Alex has to say about Kwik. Is it Kwik or is it Kwik 2? Because I know you've got the second version out now, right?
Yeah, some people call it Kwik 2, some people call it just Kwik. I mean, for me, it's Kwik. 2 is just to differentiate against the first version. Mm-hmm. Kwik for the friends.
Okay, Kwik for the friends. For people who don't understand what we're talking about, then they can go to quickshirt.com and look at that. But give us a kind of an overview of what Kwik is and how it helps developers.
Cool. I used to say that Kwik is a personal developer for a non-developer. So if you are a creative guy or a Photoshop user or even a developer, we are going to cover this later on. But what you can do is, from Photoshop, using just Photoshop, you can create full apps, storybooks, games, magazines, with a press of a few buttons. So you don't need to code. You pretty much instruct what each layer are going to do in your project. So you can say a layer is going to be a button, another layer is going to be a video, another layer is going to be, I don't know, an animation. And you press the publish button. Kwik then creates the Lua code for Corona. And with Corona Simulator, you simulate your application and even build your application for the stores. But so it's an interface. Kwik is an interface for Photoshop users to create Corona code. Wow.
Okay, so give me an idea of the workflow. I mean, you talked about creating layers and things like that, but I mean, it's going to be more than just that, right?
Yeah, the workflow is you turn Photoshop on. You're going to see if you have installed the plugin window. And from there, you can open a previous project or you can create a new one. So when you create a new one, if you have a Photoshop composition or file already open, Kwik will ask you if you're going to use this as the first screen for your project, or if not, it will open a window with all the dimensions, resolution regarding the project that you selected. So let's say you start Photoshop and say, I'm going to create a new project, and it's going to be a project for universal devices. So Kwik will then create all the interface and the correct size for the new iPad, the iPhone. So with that, you start to draw your stuff there or to create your own layers. And you then start to add interactivity and animation to those layers. So you can say, okay, layer 1, which has some kind of, drawing. Let's animate it. So Kwik then will open a window for you, say, okay, do you want to animate it in a linear way? You're going to use a path to animate it from the current position to which position. So through a series of windows, you start to add interactivity to your project, animations, or the concept of replacements. You can say, okay, I have this layer here in Photoshop. It's an empty rectangle, for example. I don't want to have it in my project. I just want to use it as a replacement for a video, for example. So then when you press publish, Kwik will understand that this empty rectangle is not going to be rendered, but instead it's going to be a video over there. So with this flow, again, when you press publish, Kwik will not only generate the Lua code for you, but all the images from each layer in all different devices. So if you are publishing for Universal, for example, it's going to render for you at 1, at 2, and at 4 images. So it's much faster, even if you're a developer. And that's why I told you in the beginning that it may be useful for developers as well. It decreases a lot your time for development because it builds for you the entire code and the entire images. So all you have to do then is tweak the code if you want to, or even add more code, external code through the interface. So it's not anymore just for people who do not know anything about development. No, in fact, we have lots of customers right now who are developers, Lua developers that are using Kwik just to speed up the process of creating apps.
Okay, so how much Photoshop knowledge do I have to have then if I wanted to do something like that?
I mean, in fact, all you need is the base of Photoshop. I'm not a Photoshop master. Pretty much what I do is to use the layers, shadows, things that most people are used to with Photoshop or with any other image editor. The concept of layers is there, and this is pretty much what you need, because you don't need to be aware of space or how to select this or that, because at the end, Kwik will see the layer for you, will capture all the information from the layer, blending modes and things like that. You don't need to know that. And Kwik will add the code for you, and it will export the layer accordingly. And you can even say, okay, some layers I'm not gonna export as PNG, I'm gonna export a JPEG, for example, and Kwik will do it for you. So basic usage. In fact, most people using Photoshop are not pros. They are just using this for speed up process.
So I have Photoshop Elements because it's about $90 as opposed to the full package. So what can you use it with that version? Do you know?
No, you cannot. In fact, you need Photoshop CS5 or above. And this happens because those are the versions who have integration with their own SDK or API. Photoshop Element does not have that, so you cannot add anything besides a few filters in Photoshop Elements.
So Christopher, you could use that thing because you have Photoshop 5, right? CS5.
Yes, I got 5. So.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a basic plugin. The good news now for people, in the past, many people said, oh, Photoshop's too expensive, I cannot handle that. I mean, Adobe right now has the cloud creative subscription. So you can pay, I believe, it's $30 a month if you want to have all the products and use all the products. And you may even say, no, I don't want to have any kind of annual contract. I'm just going to pay for the amount of months that I need. So you're going to pay that, and if you finish your project in 1 month, you just paid for a month. So it's another option, much cheaper than to spend, $600 on a full version. I mean, there are options, and of course, there's lots of people who use old versions. CS5 is an old version. After that, it came 5.5 and 6, and probably Adobe is going to announce something different on December 11 right now for Photoshop. But I mean, I'm trying to keep compatibility from CS5 to the newest version.
Okay. Okay. So what inspired you to put together this thing using Photoshop?
In fact, laziness. To be honest, yeah. No, everything started when I am a designer by education. I have a bachelor's and a master in design, so I can code. But as I mentioned, I'm usually tired by nature. So when I started using Corona, I saw lots of potential, but the idea of coming at that time to Fireworks, reposition everything, and having to cut images again, check the position of the image, go back to my Lua code, edit everything again, it was too much for me. So everything started with a Fireworks plugin. So I create a Fireworks plugin that pretty much just wrote me the basic code, the position of each element in Fireworks. So with that, I could easily complete my code in Lua and move from that. So it was, I believe, 2 years ago. So then Carlos Icaza asked me, why not to do that for Photoshop? So I created for Photoshop, and I think it's still Corona even delivered this as part of the installation. It's called Photoshop Exporter. It's a very simple thing just for that, just to write the basic Lua code with positions of each element. It doesn't export image, nothing. Just. But I had a goal in my mind at that time. I mean, being a designer myself, I said, Lua is nice, Corona is nice, but the idea of having a simple editor to write code is too much for many people. And we have to understand, not everybody's a developer or is a developer wannabe. So I said, I'm going to create a full-blown IDE for Corona. And this was my idea 2 years ago. And clearly I said, no, it's going to be too much. So I sat with Carlos here in Florida, in Miami, and we were discussing some ideas. And I said, I have this crazy idea. It's going to be too much, but I'm going to start smaller, just for comics and maybe for start books. And this is how it started 2 years ago. It was December, late December. I started code Kwik, I believe, in January, and I launched the first version in May. So since then, people start to ask for more things and more things and more things, and code and code. So it became a Kwik 2 now. And Kwik 2 it's a much different product than the original one, than the original version, because it helps also not only for a wannabe developer. It helps the small teams as well as to create faster applications, because you can work now with external code. You can have a designer work in the interface and the developer work in the real code, and you can merge things together. So it's much bigger. And of course, you have physics now, so you can create games. There's lots of additions for people willing to do magazines, for example. So it became huge, but everything started with my laziness. Not wanting to, write by myself positions X, Y of elements in Fireworks.
So out of your laziness, you created all this work for yourself.
Originally, it was the idea, and this week it was nice because someone called, hey, Alex, can you point me to a storybook you have made? And I said, you know what? I have lots of unfinished ones, because when I started this, I said, I'm going to create this for me. And the moment that it became a product, I never had time anymore to do anything for myself. It's pretty much, fixing bugs, adding new features, planning new versions, and of course, think about what's going to come, what's going to be the next product, because there are so much space for new things still in the market, I believe. So yeah. I couldn't complete any apps. I have 2 apps. At least I had. I don't think I paid my Apple developers. I don't think I renewed those. But I had 2 apps on the app stores before I start Kwik. One game and one very specific church-oriented app.
But this is but this now takes up all your time, though.
Yes, pretty much. In fact, you probably know I used to work for Microsoft till a few months ago. So it was a part-time thing, moonlighting job for me. Weekends, and it became so big, and I said, no, it's time, to focus only on that. So since September, I'm fully focused on Kwik. I left Microsoft, so here I am, full-time job now.
Very cool. So tell me, what kind of apps can I create with it? I mean, you mentioned magazines and things like that. Can I create apps with in-app purchases in them? I think I saw that on the screen.
Yeah. As I said, when I launched the first version, it was very oriented to people willing to do comics and storybooks. At least I thought it would be the main audience. So you had the basic stuff there, buttons, you have linear animations, things like that. But the first app that came up was what the author called the relaxation app. It wasn't a storybook. It was pretty much a bunch of buttons, and you could click the buttons, and you had some kind of slideshows with background music. So it was an app. So, but I created this for storybooks. But anyways, so since then, most of the apps created were storybooks, and most of them for children. But people have done different things. So, for example, several of Corona app of the week were made with Kwik, fully or in part. So you have in the list Fire Cup, for example, a few screens in Fire Cup, which is a very nice app, was made with Kwik. Where's Paradise? It's not a storybook app. It's also a documentary app. It's made in Kwik. I have a customer who is a PhD doctor, psychology, I think. And he has an app specifically for people with memory issues. So it's made with Kwik. The guy's not a developer. So yeah, me too. I mean, there are comics, there are some games right now made with version 2. The showcase, as you can see, has lots of them. Many of them are in the blog because I had to redesign the website. So and most of the interviews that I had with users in the past were not in the showcase yet, but they are in the blog. You can search there. But I mean, there's lots of things, and it's amazing because the more people start to use, the more they wows me, because sometimes I see things that said, did you do this with Kwik? And the guy said, yes. And I said, how much external code do we have here? None. And I said, can we do that with Kwik? And they are doing stuff with that. I don't know even how. But
so they're pushing.
Pretty much you can do everything.
They're pushing,
especially with external code addition now.
So they're pushing it farther than you thought you're even thinking to do with yourself.
Yes, they are. And with the ability of adding external code now, even more, because you may say, okay, I can go to this spot with Kwik, but now I can extend with my own code, and people are doing that.
Oh, okay. So if you want to write your whole other piece in the Corona SDK, if you want to write your whole a library or something like that, then you can hook into it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't see that. Well, that's very cool. Okay, so how does the in-app purchase process work? I mean, that's a very complicated thing to do without Kwik. So
yes, it's not the most complicated one. Multi-language is much more complicated. We can discuss this after that because believe me or not, only 45% of my market is in the US. 55% are from people all around the world. So wow. Multi-language is something big for them. But anyways, let's start with in-app purchase. In-app purchase is big. You know the store. It's complicated. What I tried to do was to make it simple inside Kwik. So I had to make some decisions. And the decision that I did was you can do in-app purchase, but only for things that you have already in your app. So if you are creating, for example, a storybook, you may have part of your story, or if you are having a magazine, you may have the second issue of the magazine inside your app. So what do you do in Kwik? You go, let's say, to page 4, and let's say page 4 is just going to be enabled if you paid for something. You go to page 4 and say, okay, this is an in-app page. And the only thing that you can only view this page if this product that you enter in Kwik is already purchased. So what happens if the user who download the app try to go to page 4 and there's no purchase there, you have in Kwik in the interface what to do if user didn't pay. So if you may say, okay, go back to page 1, which is the main menu. So Kwik will do it for you. The code will do it for you. So if you're a developer using Kwik or a designer using Kwik, you have 2 steps to configure. The first step is to say the products that you are going to sell. So you have the list, and of course they have to match with the products in the App Store or the Amazon, the Google Store at this moment. So this is the first step, and the second step is to say what kind of page will be shown if people purchase product A, B, or C. Okay. And of course, for the buttons, you have interactions pre-made like buy or restore, and this is pre-coded.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's complicated, but at the end, it's not that much. You cannot do things like click here and download some stuff and unzip some stuff. No, you can at this moment just get access to pages in your project that originally you cannot see if you haven't paid.
But the complexity is usually on the App Store end of things, and not the app end of anyway, right?
Yeah, it's if Apple can make your life miserable, they will do. So we know already.
But you're making that part possible inside of Kwik, so that somebody can still have in-app purchase and still be able to use that feature, but they still have to deal with the store.
No, yeah, they have. But again, what we try to do in this case is to point to documentation where they can, go step by step on how to do that, trying to make things easier. But at the end, even the official documentation says the most complicated thing for in-app purchase is to configure this thing. The moment you pass that or you learn to do that for the other products, it's much simpler.
Yeah.
But it's nice because we have a few apps already made with in-app purchase feature. Things like you can buy a store book, and there are some activities that are going to be available only if you pay. Others are using the concept of light apps. Okay, click here, and you're going to make this app a full one. So I mean, you can play with different things, but the idea is to make things as much easier as possible.
Do you know if anybody's doing any kind of newsstand type app, or does Kwik allow for that?
This is a good one. We had last year. I had a very nice magazine style app made with Kwik. It's called Triple Crown. It was from PBS. They had a show about this, horse racing. And they use this app as a complement to, complement, I think is the word in English, I don't know. It's an addition to the show. I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker. So they had this app, super nice, and we start to discuss the idea of have some kind of newsstand. And this is something that it's in my part list here, and maybe we have some news soon.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's interesting because I'm kind of interested here recently in the whole newsstand aspect of things. But what you're saying though is you can create that outside of newsstand. You can have an app that has its own additions and things like that. So that's
potentially what people want. Especially, I have some customers in Russia, and I had the same case in Turkey, where they want a full newsstand app. So they would like to have their own books inside a specific app, and from that you buy in things from this app. We cannot do this as of today with Kwik, but this is something that, again, it's in my pipe. I'm still evaluating because the thing is, it adds complexity. It's not for everyone, and if it's not for everyone, you cannot have entry-level price point because it costs to develop. So
well, and newsstand is still a very new thing. I mean, we're it's still a very niche aspect of things. So you're trying to hit the broader market of people who are visually oriented, use Photoshop without doing any coding, and that's your focus.
Yeah, it's my original focus, but what's starting to happen right now is, and I'm glad that you brought this topic, I'm starting to have some publishers asking me about that, because if you start to compare the options that they have with Adobe, for example, or even other products like Mag Plus or Aquafadas, those things are very expensive. So they are paying per issue $1,000, $2,000. So if you are a big one, if you're a Wired, for example, you can handle that. It's not that much. But if you're a small publisher or a small magazine owner, it starts to become very expensive for things that we know there is not much money coming from App Store at this moment for magazines and news. In fact, the Daily just went off. I don't know if you read the Daily, the first newspaper for iPad on, it's gone because they couldn't afford anymore. So, I mean, there's space for more here.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Yeah. And so again, out of that initial lazy idea comes all this extra work, right?
No, and more than that, because in the past was people complaining or asking, I know, but I don't want it for Photoshop. I want it for GIMP. And I said, man, forget about it. I'm never going to write anything for GIMP. or fireworks, and now people start saying, it would be nice to have it for InDesign. I said, you know.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the localization piece. That sounded very interesting.
No, the localization one is, or the concept of multi-language was, for me, one of the most complicated implementation, because number one, you never know how many languages the people want to have, and the things that you have to localize in your app, especially, again, the idea of Kwik is not to be something that you have to add code by yourself. So everything should be and must be treated by my code in the back. So, and again, in the beginning, it should be simple because I was using only images for buttons and text. But since version, I don't know, 1.6, it came the concept of sync text with audio. So the concept of, highlighting words while an audio in background displaying. So it's not just saying, okay, use these images if it's Portuguese, use this one if it's in English. Now I have to say, okay, what about the text? It's different text if I'm going to read it in Portuguese or English. If so, with text comes audio. The audio is different. What about video? You may have a video just for English speaking and another one for Portuguese. So it started to become so complicated. The concept that I could made up, and it's working fortunately, and it's nice because today I just received another one for the showcase. It's not live yet. It's in Italian and in English. Beautiful done, store book. The concept that I created was, of course, tables. And I have those tables, and everything is in these freaking tables. A table for English, a table for, Spanish or English. And if you are using a multi-language project, the code that Kwik writes, it's different than the code if you have just one language. So this way could be the same, but I try to avoid memory issues and load lots of things that are not necessarily for just doing a regular one language project.
Okay.
But lots of complex here. And also, I'm sorry, you may have a button that for English plays different actions or functions that for Spanish, for example. You may have the situation.
And this is all still without writing any code?
Yes.
Wow.
And the workflow is pretty simple. In Kwik, you say, okay, this project, I have the concept of project properties. This project is going to be a multilingual one. And you say, okay, I'm going to create Portuguese and English. So this is the first step. And for every element that you need a different rendering, you click a layer, for example, say, okay, this layer here is going to be in Spanish. So I have a button that says, okay, set language for this in Spanish, and use these objects as reference. So this way you build your project in a multilingual project without any kind of code. All the hard work is in the background while you are exporting or publishing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I've been through the website at quickshirt.com. I've been through the website, and there's a ton of instruction and tutorials and things like that.
Yeah.
The site. It's no surprise to me that you say you were a designer, by training, because there's that website is so well put together and so visually pleasing, and there's all the resources that you need there to be able to support the product. So so my compliments on that. I like things that are shiny.
No, thanks, but in technology, it's a work in progress. It never ends. When you think it's okay, someone comes with another idea, say, oh, you know what, it's missing this or missing that, and they're right at the end. But thanks.
That's the artist speaking. The art project is never complete, right? It's never
like any app. No, it's never completed. You're gonna always find a bug or a new feature to add.
Yeah, but
I'll agree with the multilingual simply because I'll go to the App Store and not everything's in English. So you have to assume that when you publish your app, it's going to be exposed to non-English speaking countries, vice versa. So if I have the opportunity of only releasing to English speaking population or being able to release it to everyone, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, did you read Dean Murphy's blog post on that? where he?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes. But he was talking about the idea of it was a breakdown of activity in the app stores and some of the stats and things like that have been released, and essentially it was the idea. The breakdown is, would you rather have 50% or like Alex is saying 45% of a market, or would you rather have 100%? And you can do that through localization. You just have to build it into the app. So I would much rather have, because we know it all comes down to percentages, right? Out of a total population, only so many people are going to see your app, and then out of that, so many people are going to buy your app, and then and so so you get the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. So yeah, I'd rather start out with 100% population and try to divvy that up than start out with a lesser amount. So it's good to have that in there as well. All right, well let's move to community. You want to do the community question, Toff? Do you have?
Sure.
You want to do that? So take us through that, because I don't understand it.
Okay. Well, this resulted from about 5 people in the forum saying, "Oh yeah, it's an easy fix. You just do this."
Now, what is it though?
Okay. I have the list. Imagine I've got a button, and there's a background to the entire screen. So it's a layer. I've got one image on top of another, and both of them have event listeners. The first one on top is a touch. The one on the back, well, that's a tap. In theory, I should be able to attach a return true to the end of the event listener function. Run event listener when I touch this, and say, move left. So it moves. Great. Okay, it worked. Well, the way Corona works is that when you touch, it doesn't just touch that object. It goes down through the layers. So you end up touching every single thing that's underneath it. Yeah. Well, the way you stop that is inside the function, you say return true. And it goes, oh, okay, I've got an answer. I can stop now. Well, that works awesome when you have a touch object sitting on top of another touch object sitting on another. It just stops at the first one. We're good. My problem was that I had a touch object and then I had a tap object. Well, in theory, they're both touch objects, and saying return true on the first one stops it. We'll go no further. That's the roadblock. You're good. It wasn't working for me. It was one of those, no, 5 people in the forum said this. It should work. They're both touch objects. It should work. And I found one guy, which I need to go find his name, but he had the exact same situation where it wasn't 2 touch objects. It was a touch and a tap. And he kept saying, it wasn't working for me. And the fact that he reiterated my problem and identified it as 2 different things, a touch versus a tap, that's what clued me in, because I was going, oh, no, they're both touch. They're going to work.
So what was the solution?
Oh, the solution is basically I slid an additional tap on that same button. So now I've got 2 event listeners. One is just a generic. I named it do nothing tap. So whenever I call my touch, I also call a tap simultaneously, and the only thing in that function is return true. So now it basically roadblocks it on both the touch and the tap. So it will go no further. And voila, I now have it stopped on both objects.
Now, Brian, is that something that should be considered is that a bug, or is that something that?
No, that's how you have to handle, especially the layering. When you get into more advanced layering like that, then you can run into a definite problem of which object is going to respond to the touch or the tap. And generally it's going to be the top object, but the way Corona works is that it will continue to go on down through.
Okay.
So, if as Toff was saying, if it was just simply multiple touch objects, then everything would have been fine. But it's when you're calling touch versus tap that you can have some issues.
So it wouldn't be submitted as a bug, but you could submit it as some sort of feature.
Yeah, this is a feature, not a bug.
But you could submit it as some
by design feature.
Yeah. But you could submit it as some sort of. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, how do you? It seems like okay. it seems like kind of a workaround in order to do what Toff is talking about, as opposed to.
Well, yeah, it's a workaround, but for Corona to have the flexibility that we need it to have,
yeah,
it's a very understandable workaround.
Oh no, yeah, I think it's a fine thing. It's just a matter of like Toff was saying, there's a little bit of confusion built in there. So seems like it would be good to just submit that, as something for future thought, because I know that they've released.
I think it's more probably just needs to be better documented.
Yeah,
education.
I agree.
That's really was my issue. Is the whole nobody told me that a touch and a tap were different. That was my only issue.
I talked about it on Saturday. What do you want?
Which is how I solved it, right? See, I was coding on this, and then all this good stuff on Big Corona Meetup, and it was like, oh, that's it. Okay, hang on.
So what you're telling me, Toff, is that you're gonna now write a blog post about it, right, and put it on Corona Geek, so that you can say.
Because I will be one of the only other person who's explaining it with that way. Because, like I said, the other guy, I gotta go find him and give him credit because he found it first and went, oh, wait a minute.
All right. Well, I will put that on the publishing calendar for you, so you can write that
to-do list. Yes.
And I'll be sure to include it in the next book, so that to better just explain that.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, it may not be a stumbling block for everybody, but it was definitely a stumbling block for me because I did not understand by looking at the API that a touch and a tap were two separate objects or events.
And that's a good point. That's a very good point. And it is a little bit of developer education, because I know that as a new developer to Corona, I look at things and the words might be there. This is a touch event and this is a tap event, and all I hear is bacon and bacon. So
or bacon and light bacon.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so okay, well, yeah, definitely. Do a tutorial on that, and Brian, put it in your book, and we'll certainly link to it. Okay, so let's move on to an app review. Basically, let's combine this actually with the industry news section, which was making changes to your app that can be detrimental. Essentially, I have an app that I use for task management, and I've used it for a few years now. And I absolutely love it, and I've recommended it on the show. I recommend it to people that I know, people who are business people who family members, friends, people who don't care at all.
Which would be me.
Yeah. Chris is he's not a to-do list kind of person. I love knowing what it is that I want to do, and I want that to be something that I can organize and rearrange all the time, because if I don't get everything done in a day, I can move it to the next day, and my list can be fluid, and I can just check things off, and I feel like I've accomplished something, and it's great. Well, so they came out with an update to their software, and I think I was getting ready to go to bed. I was flipping through emails. I was actually organizing my to-do list. This is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, blah blah blah, and I saw that there was an update for the app, and I went out. And they said it was going to make things faster. They had eliminated some bugs. There were less taps to get to where you needed to be. I mean, all these types of this is the holy grail of updates. You should get it. And version 3.0, significant enough that it rated a full-on version change. I installed it, opened it up, and almost cried. I seriously, as a grown man, over a to-do list, almost cried because they had completely changed the interface. And I'm not talking about let's start a group on Facebook to talk about to get Facebook to go back to the way Facebook was kind of stuff. I'm not talking about it's changed, so therefore it's horrible and I don't like it. I'm talking about everything on the screen is smaller. They added their logo to it, which it's like squunched up in the upper left-hand corner. And and it doesn't matter to me that they added their logo, but it's unnaturally small. Everything is teensy, and they added a navigation bar on the side that doesn't add any less clicks I mean, it doesn't get me anywhere I need to be any faster than before. And there's this beige green burlap sack background. I mean, it's a total step backwards to the app. Before, it was, the color scheme was consistent with the website. It was clean. I could get to where I needed to go. Things like that. Some people, had said, hey, in the forums and the app reviews and things like that, had said, hey, you guys need to, you've kind of been with this UI, this user interface for a couple of years now. Maybe it's time to freshen it up. That kind of stuff. But these guys went in a completely different direction. And like I said, I subscribe to their site, so they have a back-end service that goes along with this. And it's a yearly fee, and it's not very much. It's like $15 a year. It's not, it's stupid simple. But now that they've completely changed the interface on the app, I'm in the market looking for other solutions. It's bad enough. It's such a significant change that I'm out there looking for a total different solution, which means that I originally bought their app, and I subscribed to the service, and now I won't be using either one. So I think this is a cautionary tale. If you're going to make changes like that, you either have to know for sure that that's exactly what your user base wants, or you're going to be banking on something completely new, completely different, completely fresh, so that you're going to bring on a whole new crowd of people, and for the people who do leave because you've changed something, that's just too bad. It's acceptable losses. But I don't think this is what happened. I don't think this is what happened at all for them. I think they just made it. It's almost like they made a change for the sheer fact that people wanted to change, and it's in a very, very bad direction.
And we see this happen all the time. It's not necessarily just the mobile app industry. I've seen this happen in the restaurant industry. You got a great salsa that you're marketing at stores, and then you change the formula.
Right. Yeah, Coke.
Like,
Coke is iconic, right?
Coke is a perfect example. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a 10%. We're not talking about a 10% change. We're talking about something so drastic that people just revolt. They're just like, nope, not gonna do it.
I do not understand we've got a successful product. Let's change everything about it.
Yeah.
Windows 8.
Oh. Well, that's yet to be seen, right? That's yet to be seen.
We're waiting to see, but an awful lot of developers are just simply saying, no, not going to do it. I'll stay with Windows 7. And I'm staying with Windows 7. I've seen no reason to go to Windows 8 until I'm forced to. I'll probably wait for Windows 9.
Right. And that's
Microsoft has a history of every other version's good.
And Apple recently has kind of the same media that sources that kind of trumpeted Apple as the underdog that was now becoming the
it's the number one. Yeah,
they're the same ones who kind of have chewed Apple up for not being innovative, for coming out with the iPhone 5, which is only really a sort of a in some people's view a marginal change from before, but too much of a drastic change.
Right. You'll offend your clientele and they'll leave.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely a cautionary.
When you have a successful product, don't change it, or just make minor improvements.
I agree. My whiteboard increased this Christmas by a good 20% when my wife went out and bought me a new whiteboard. It was awesome. It was like, now this is an improvement. It's a bigger whiteboard.
Yes.
Eventually, I'm going to paint my whole freaking wall as my whiteboard, and then I'll really be happy.
Yeah. Well, see, now on a whiteboard though, you're carrying along with that. You are expanding along the same lines. You're adding to that product and making it more of that product. Whereas if I were to change that into a flannel graph, would you be as happy?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh, my kid's school. They have, not only is it a drawable whiteboard, it basically records it into the computer. It's like a smart whiteboard.
Yes.
I'm really, really looking into that one because then you could basically see my whiteboard and stop complaining about me not being on a to-do list.
There you go. Oh, good.
It'd be right there. So
there you go. Yeah. I'll take anything I can get. So the app recommendation, rather than just a review, the app recommendation that I have is this Readle? Readle, Readdle? Is that how you pronounce it? Readle?
Readdle or
Readdle?
Readle? One of the two.
It's called we'll call it Readle. Readle Calendars 3. Lets you see your Google Calendar, which I love Google. I use Google, all stuff Google. Lets you see all your Google Calendar and your tasks. So on your tasks, you can put those on the days on your calendar. And so this app allows you to manage your tasks and see your calendar, which was something another thing that I was trying to solve before, was how do I get my Google Calendar when I'm not connected? You know, if I'm in an area that has a terrible internet connection and I can't get it, I still need to be able to see what's going on. So this, you probably need to go to their products. If you go there you go. So it solved everything, and it's a $7 app. You know, so I went out and bought it. And was happy to do so, you know, and really like it. And I'll put a link to in the show notes. And there's another one that I was using that's actually a free app for tasks called Go Tasks, and it taps into your Google Calendar tasks as well. But I went ahead and bought Calendars 3 because, again, like I've said before, there's a company behind it. You know, they're actually charging money for it, and that keeps them going and motivated, and that's a good thing over a free app, especially in a business application where you need it to be maintained on an ongoing basis.
You know, that's a discussion we probably need to have sometime, is the difference between freemium and premium and free apps, especially on the business app side. That as a business user, you know, as a business user, I'm a little afraid of free apps, that they're not going to be available or going to continue to make improvements to it. They've got no motivation.
Yeah, for entertainment. Yeah, for entertainment, for games, things like that. Sure, a free app. Thanks very much.
Yes.
But
keep my kids entertained for an hour or two. That's great. Yes.
But I've got a full schedule. Yeah, exactly. I've got a full schedule, and I need to know everything that's going to go on today. I need a paid app. You know, I need something that I know that, and especially not just that it's a paid app, but 6 months from now, when I've really become dependent on it, it needs to be something. I need to know it's still going to be there.
Yes.
But
that's probably a deeper conversation for another time, and maybe we can get a marketing expert on to share about the ins and outs of that.
Yeah, let's do that. Definitely. All right. Well, I think we've kind of run out of time today. I wanted to get into the event.contact thing that's been added to the physics API, but I just don't think we'll have time to really cover it. So
we can hit that next week.
Yeah. So let's just hit that next week. Just as a bit of housekeeping, we are going to take off the Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and I'm sure that we would probably just be here talking to ourselves anyway. So we won't be officially having anything during those days. I might actually post something just to kind of keep the video feed alive, but we will have the next couple of weeks. We've got next week we actually have in studio, we're going to have Riley Noosh. He's a 15-year-old developer who's chosen the Corona SDK as his platform of choice to be able to develop mobile apps, which is going to be really exciting to talk with him about his experience with it so far. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so for everybody who is interested in our topic today, in our guest, Alex, you can go to Quiksher, KWIKSHER.com. I should never try to spell live. Go to Quiksher.
We'll have links in the show notes.
We will have links in the show notes, which you can find at coronageek.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/coronageek, facebook.com/coronageek. And you can also, if you like this as a podcast, you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can find us on the Stitcher app. So if you go to the Stitcher app, put it on your iPhone, put it on your Android device, you can search for Corona Geek, and you can add us to your favorites and listen to us through there as well. So Alex, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for sharing all the stuff that Kwik does. And Brian, Toff, see you guys next week.
Wow.
Absolutely. And as we're thinking about that, because of our guy next week,
Yeah.
think about what you were doing when you were 15.
Yeah. Gee, thanks. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.